Right, so that was Corbin August in Cape Town, giving us some background to the Finance Minister's report and budget, where I suppose his announcements, an increase in fuel levies in line with inflation. Godongwana delivered this budget, and in the Western Cape province also announced an increase in tobacco and alcohol excise duties. The tax on a 20-pack of cigarettes will now increase from 22 Rand 81 cents and 23 Rand 58 cents, whilst the cost of cigars will rise by 4 Rand 56 cents per 23 grams. Well, let's make sense of all of that, actually. And to help us is Dr. Peter Baur, who's an economist at the University of Johannesburg. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, and welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me today.
So the opposition has said that the budget was boring. And I've got to be honest, as a taxpayer, I love boring. What's your take on the minister's budget?
I thank you. Yeah, I see it as shall we say, a system stabilization budget, also administration stabilization, as well as in terms of aligning its objectives with the address by President Cyril Ramaphosa in the State of the Nation. So key concerns that were raised in the State of the Nation, such as, dealing with issues such as crime and security, as well as, disaster relief. These were all issues raised at the State of the Nation. So, but overall, in terms of the changes adjusting the social income, shall we say, the social grant system, protecting households, that was definitely raised, again, addressing and also supporting State of a Nation address. Overall, in terms of, shall we say, reducing our budget deficit, in other words, the difference between government spending and revenue, we're showing signs of like stabilizing, and also at the same time sort of reducing that budget deficit. And also he focused on some of the issues around the role of our SARS and being able to, through basically commending SARS for its ability to collect additional taxes, which then was able to support the fact that we don't need to increase additional taxes on the consumers, which may be also seen as somewhat of a relief in the economy.
Say perhaps a move towards fiscal stability. Some might say he's just managing short-term pressures, but that's a debate that will be had. I am curious, government projects that borrowing will decline over the medium term, yet debt service costs will remain above 430 billion next year. Is the current pace of consolidation, in your view, enough to stabilize debt sustainability?
Yes, I think we're taking active steps towards managing our debt is definitely in line with our, shall we say, our credit ratings, and also sort of supporting our credit ratings. We're also supporting South Africa's, shall we say, fiscal, shall we say, policy, as well as our financial institution stability. He's emphasizing that financial market stability in South Africa, which is exactly what the kind of information we need to send to our foreign investors for South Africa. So yes, sitting at around 76% debt to GDP is a major concern. We're losing a lot of money in debt repayments, especially in the interest component of those debt repayments. And that is monies that could have been spent, for example, for the economy overall. So in essence, we're looking at sending a very positive message out there, making sure that we're providing the right kind of information to our foreign investors, and also for our credit rating agencies to keep our position now that we've been removed from the grey listing. And also, I think very much about, shall we say, by consolidating debt as well, and putting the message out there, hey, listen, we're very serious about our debt. It also adds additional security to the stabilizing rand. I mean, the rand we already seen has been improving against both the euro and the US dollar. In terms of, again, highlighting the fact that the economy is on a growth trajectory, economically growth, they're estimating some positive increases over the next 3 years. And that will also then support our, shall we say, our financial position internationally. So commitment towards debt repayment is definitely significant and very, very important.
So no increases on personal income tax or VAT, but I do get a feeling that he's playing card tricks with us because whilst he hasn't done that, he has increased the fuel levy. And what it means, of course, for me, if I'm taking a taxi to work and home every single day, chances are my taxi prices are going to go up. So more people are actually going to contribute tax-wise indirectly through fuel levies. So it appears as if he hasn't increased tax for us, but he has really, hasn't he?
Well, in terms of the fuel levy, I mean, yes, that is definitely, a popular term to use would be the low-hanging fruit. It's an inefficient tax that we could collect. However, it is definitely going to have an impact on both our household consumption, consumer sort of income distribution. Commuters need to get to work, and transport is critical in the economy. But to counter that as well, he also he's putting investment aside and policy aside towards supporting the public transport system and the transport infrastructure. So on the one side, he's saying, yes, we're focusing on, additional taxes that affect households and of course businesses. And yes, that's definitely going to help assist at least generating additional revenue. And then, of course, if we've got economic growth thrown in, and if the economy continues to grow, if we're able to reduce unemployment, those kind of taxes are going to increase. But there's that support for the infrastructural development as well, and looking at public transport and supporting the public transport as well as the shall we say, the transport infrastructure. South Africa is definitely caught a little bit between a rock and a hard place. A limited number of taxpayers, large and growing population, very high levels of unemployment, and the persistent challenges of poverty and inequality in the economy, and we need to address those. So overall, he's looking at trying to, shall we say, on the one side, support that social grant, support initiatives towards trying to reduce the poverty inequality argument. But he's also then, shall we say, trying to raise those additional taxes through obviously the fuel levies, and I mean, we haven't even mentioned the infamous sin taxes, if we're going to refer to those, additional taxes from alcohol and cigarettes. And of course the excise on that. But the key idea here is again about stabilization. So yes, that additional fuel levy could have implications towards additional costs for households and businesses. So they could be an inflationary element coming through in that element. But then also again, I think if we continue to support that infrastructural development, I think that infrastructural stabilization, as I was mentioning earlier, I think is really, really a significant contribution. So he's dealing both sides of the coin at the same time.
Right, and very briefly then, looking back at all of it and what we've just shared, do you think he's done the best he could?
I think in terms of stabilizing the economy, yes. Obviously, there would be additional elements I would like to have seen addressed in this budget speech, additional support for tertiary institutions. But he's focusing on a really key, important area, and that is your primary care and your early child development. And that is as incredibly powerful, which is supporting many households in South Africa headed by women, and so supporting, shall we say, early child development, and then indirectly also supporting women-headed households and child development. So primary education, focusing also towards healthcare. He's already listed certain healthcare facilities and a certain, shall we say, in Mpumalanga, a key tertiary institution they wish to develop. But in this case, I think it is a very cautious approach going forward. We need more economic growth to be able to generate sufficient income to be able to invest more significantly into the economy. And on the same time, we also need to make sure we have a stable economy, and we need additional fiscal stimulus to try and create that economic growth. And given the limited tax base, and also trying to prevent us and and maintain the fact that we would maintain going into additional debt are all key stabilization factors. So yes, we need the economic growth. We are putting additional spending into appropriate sectors of our economy, especially sort of, so to say, young development and protecting our economy by not trying to increase, for example, the kind of taxes that would impact the most vulnerable, such as those living in poverty or the low-income households.
Dr. Peter Baur, I wish we could have talked for longer, but time not on our side. But thank you very much indeed for your insights on the budget.
Thank you.
That's Dr. Peter Baur, economist at the University of Johannesburg, unpacking the budget that was delivered by Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana yesterday.